Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Earwax. It's Colin, and today we're going to be talking about a sort of controversial topic in the realm of live music, at least over the past 6 months or so. And that is the Warped Tour 30th anniversary lineup. Now, I know there's been a lot of people that have been very disappointed with this lineup, either with how it's been rolled out, or the acts that are on it, or for a litany of other reasons. And I'm just going to kind of give my opinion on the whole situation in general, as well as like highlighting a couple real high points, I think, from it, and maybe even recommending a couple bands that if you are going and are not familiar with, you should check out. So first and foremost, before we start talking about like the actual acts that are on the lineup, let's talk about how the lineup was released. I understand the like want and desire to keep sort of like interest going throughout the entire like build up to a festival like this, especially when it's been absent for 6 years now, and this is like the big comeback and the 30th anniversary. But I gotta say, I was not thrilled with how they actually like announced the lineup for the most part. I will say it was kind of exciting, like here and there, like getting new bands, and I like what they were doing on Instagram, where Kevin was like kind of playing off at least some of the bigger bands of like, oh, should we play? Oh, we got a call. Like there was a lot of like funny skits that kind of were involved in it, but it was just a little excruciating taking that long to release the majority of the lineup. And even like as of recording this video, we still don't have the full lineup. I thought we would, especially because the show is just a few days away, at least the Long Beach iteration of that, which is the one that I'm going to. But yeah, there's still one act that has not been announced. I know a lot of people think it's Boys Like Girls. I think that's probably what it's going to be. I know that they were on the DC lineup as well. I know some other people said it might be Broken Side, which their 16-year-old me is kind of excited for that, if that was the case. And I think there was a couple other suggestions here and there that I didn't see. But the most recent act that was announced, which is Big Ass Truck, IE, hardcore band. I can't remember exactly where they're out of, but they've got a decent following, but I don't feel like they're big enough to be like, the surprise, or not surprise, but like the last minute, like, headliner to be announced. So I think that was a little disappointing as well. Not that like I'm not excited for them to be on the set list or on the lineup. If there's no one else that I really want to see when they're playing, I'll probably go and see them. But like if you're saving a couple like big bands for the end, it just for me it doesn't feel like they really fit that bill, and neither really does like Boys Like Girls or Broken Side for me, or whoever else might potentially be in that spot. Just interesting like choices for those last few reveals. The third to last reveal, the one that was just before Big Ass Truck, which was Sublime, I think we all kind of saw coming from a mile away. I was lucky enough to see them in December of last year, and man, that Jacob just absolutely kills it. Like they put on a great show, and so I just saw them, so I may not prioritize seeing them at Warped Tour this year. But if you're going, definitely go see them. I think it's a really cool, special thing to witness. So yeah, I think the really slow roll of the lineup release wasn't necessarily done like the best way, but I do also think they had some fun with it. They definitely garnered a lot of like chatter and a lot of attention about it. But that being said, I was very like involved, or at least like was following it pretty closely throughout that whole process. And there were definitely certain names that when they were announced, people were less than thrilled. And I think a good chunk of those names, at least for people who are like not super excited, were a lot more of like the modern artists, which I do have to say, I think there is a bit of an imbalance when it does come to some of the more modern artists. Now, I know when they announced this, and one of the things that they were talking about is we want it to still feel like Warped Tour of old, where like there was going to be some big names, some heavy hitters, some acts you knew, but a large part of that was also having some discovery, so being able to check out new artists, discover new artists. And there's a few that I discovered because of this process, and I'm really excited to see, and I'll talk about those in a little bit here. But I think that there's too many of them. I don't think that they focused enough on the classic, Warped Tour crowd or appeal, where if you're bringing something back for a 30th anniversary, you're going to bring in some old heads like me. Now, that being said, I do want to be clear that like I'm not like an OG Warped Tour attendee. I went the bulk of my Warped Tours were like 2007 to like 2012. I went like a handful of times in like those 5 years, and saw some great bands. Have great memories of Warped Tour. Didn't feel a need to keep going after that because like I kind of felt like I had done it. I was really excited to go again this year though, just for kind of that nostalgia aspect of it. I'm getting to that point where like festivals are difficult for me to do. So having one that's a little bit cheaper, a little bit lower of a commitment is definitely nice. And it also helped that I've got family in that area. So I'm not paying for like, hotel costs or stuff like that. All of that kind of made this a much more appealing experience for me. But yeah, I definitely get like not wanting to have to pay to travel, to lodging, even like the price of the tickets, which was very reasonable for a music festival, especially with some of the names that they got. But still, you're spending, 100, 200, sometimes like 250, $300 on this event. And you want to make sure that you're getting your money's worth. And I'm here to say that, like, no matter where you fall on the lineup, so if you think it's amazing, if there's only a couple of bands that you're excited for, like, you're gonna get your money's worth. Warped Tour has always been an incredible experience. There's a lot more to do there than just the music. Very few other festivals that let you like get up and close with the band members, just like at their merch tent. I mean, you may not see all of like the big names, but you'll be able to see a lot of them. And there are some really great bands that I think you can discover just going there. Like I love discovering new music, especially live. So why almost any concert I go to, I always get there for the first opener, even if I don't know who they are. Discovered a lot of great bands that way. And I think the same is going to be said for Warped Tour. Now, I do have a couple complaints about the lineup outside of them skewing so heavily towards some of like the newer artists. And that is the lack of like real OG, Warped Tour artists. So I think there's a good chunk of what I would consider like my era of Warped Tour. So like, mid to late 2000s to like early 2010s. There's a lot of like metalcore. There's a lot of like that neon pop punk that was like popular at that time. There's a lot of, just like acts that I would expect to see if I'd gone to a Warped Tour in like 2010, 2011. There's not enough acts that I think would have been around in like the 90s and like the late 90s, mid 90s, early 2000s, kind of like the origins, the OG Warped Tour acts. And there's definitely a few of them. I mean, you've got Pennywise, who was one of the first. You've got Dance Hall Crashers. You've got Goldfinger. Sublime, technically. You've got even like Gogo Bordello, who was like late 90s, early 2000s. You've got the Vandals, which I'm stoked for. They're like one of my favorite punk bands of all time. But I feel like we're missing more. Like we're missing more just straight up punk. Like there's definitely some here for sure. There's some pop punk as well, but we're missing some like true punk. I will say there's a lot of like hardcore bands on the bill this year, at least like what like it's the modern iteration of hardcore. But there's not many like hardcore punk bands, at least from like what I would consider like the heyday of hardcore punk. And granted, a lot of them are not the same or like even around anymore, but I definitely feel like we're missing some of that. Now, the like metalcore inclusions here are absolutely incredible. You've got some of the best, probably biggest metalcore bands of all time. I've never, despite all of the Warped Tours I've been to, I've never seen A Day to Remember live, so I'm very excited for that. Of Mice and Men, I have seen. I think it was like the first Warped Tour they played. There's a couple other ones. Seosin, I'm super excited to see. Chiodos, I've seen them on Warped Tour before. Very excited to see them again, even though it's basically just Craig Owens, I think, at this point with like a backing band, but still. Atmosphere, like I'm pretty excited to see Atmosphere. That's not someone I would have, thought initially when I was thinking about a Warped Tour lineup. It just like hip hop was never really something that like I associated with Warped Tour, but Atmosphere is very unique in that space, so it kind of makes sense. 303, I've seen at Warped Tour. Like they're always just a party. They're a fun time. And yeah, there's a lot of other just like really good acts kind of throughout. And I know there's a lot of people that are excited for bands like Falling in Reverse and Slaughter to Prevail. I'm not the biggest fan of those bands, more so because of the members that are in those bands. But if you like them, more power to you. Happy you get to go see them live. And yeah, I think one thing that I really do have to say about this lineup just across the board is that I think it really does a good job of not like giving you FOMO. Because let's be realistic here. I mean, most people, especially my age, are not going to be running between stage and stage trying to catch like snippets of each set of each band they want to see. I would rather see like five or six sets throughout the day, stay for the whole thing, and like have those be bands that I was really excited to see. I think I'm going to be able to do that. One of the reasons that I haven't had much of a desire to go to when we were young is because I felt like I was going to like be stretched too thin and I was going to be trying to see too much stuff. And I definitely don't feel that here. That being said, though, if you've got some downtime, like go check out the Artist Alley, go check out, some of the acoustic stuff, some of like the skateboarding stuff, and go check out some bands you've never seen before. Just like wander over to a random stage. There's actually a couple bands that I'm really excited to see that I'd only just recently discovered. First and foremost is the Home Team. And I'm starting with them because they might be someone that I don't see just because I literally just saw them in June. But if you get a chance to see them, like go see them. They're super fun. My wife's not super into them. They're a little bit too like pop heavy for her. They're very similar like Issues or Royal Coda or like any of some of like the poppier like post-hardcore metalcore bands that are really just like hard pop rock at this point. But the lead singer's vocals are incredible. They still have some really heavy guitars. And they're really, really fun live. So if you get a chance, go check them out. Another band that I'm really excited for is Drain. So Drain is probably the biggest band that I discovered off of like the Warped Tour playlist. I think they were one of the earliest bands, or Warped Tour lineup. I think they're one of the earliest bands that was announced. And I was like going through the Reddit, and a lot of people were stoked. Like, damn, this is like the heaviest band they've announced so far. So I checked them out. And they are incredible. They are a hardcore band out of Santa Cruz. So obviously, like growing up around that area, I got a lot of love in my heart for any band from that area. But they're just awesome. They've got like, I think their third studio album coming out in November. But incredible California, a hardcore band. Really, really fun, just incredible musicians. And I'm definitely going to try and get there early to see them. Another band that's kind of in that same realm that shouldn't be as unknown as it is, but I don't see nearly enough people like as hyped that they're on this lineup as I am, but that's Better Lovers. Talked about Better Lovers a lot. I've talked about them a few times on this channel. I reviewed their debut album last year. Absolutely incredible supergroup of, a lot of the members, three of the members of Every Time I Die, Greg Picato of, formerly of the Dillinger Escape Plan, and then one of the guitarists from Fit for an Autopsy, whose name I can't remember right now, but absolutely incredible. Can't wait to see them live. They're working on their second album right now. If you like hardcore music, if you like heavy music, and you got time, definitely go see them. And then last band that I'm really excited to see that I only just recently discovered and was actually also found through the lineup announcement was Destroy Boys. So I had like heard them, I like listened to them on the Warped like playlist and like really enjoyed what I heard. And then I got one of their albums in one of the like mystery packs that I did earlier in the year, which by the way, stay tuned guys, those are coming back soon. Actually, I'm going to be doing a very special giveaway and mystery bundle unboxing for my 200 subscribers. So I think we're at like 196 right now. If you got 4 friends, tell them to follow. That way I can do that sooner than later. But yeah, very cool, just like indie punk band, and really enjoyed what I heard on that album and pretty stoked to see them. I'm sure there's going to be some bands that I want to see that I'm not going to be able to, but I do feel with like maybe a third of this lineup that I'm like really excited to see, I'm going to have an easier time making those decisions. And I think that's the silver lining that a lot of people just aren't acknowledging with this lineup is that like, yeah, maybe there's only 10 bands you want to see, but you know what? That means you only got to go see 10 acts. Like, you're still paying a fairly cheap price to go see 10 bands perform probably about half an hour of their hits, and it's going to be a good time. So yeah, anyway, that's my 2 cents on the Warped Tour lineup. I'm going to be there at Long Beach both Saturday and Sunday. If any of you guys that follow me, are going to be there too, and you see me, come up and say hi. I don't know really any of you in person, so I think that'd be cool. But no matter what, I'm just excited to be in California, listen to some great music, mosh a little bit in 98-degree weather and have a good time, and hopefully my old bones can take it. So Thanks so much for watching, guys. Just so you know, if you are watching this all to the end, because I'm going to Warped Tour, then I'm also staying out in California visiting family for a little over a week. There won't be a video next week, but I'll be back after that. I'll also make a post about it, and then we'll lock in the next genre-specific top 5. I believe that voting has closed. So that's going to be it for me, guys. Thanks so much for watching, as always, and I will talk to y'all later. Peace.